It's time to kick up your life with Master Mel.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke.
Learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer. As she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Master Mel uses her experience in martial arts, nutrition, fitness, and psychology to help you kick it up to the next level of mastery in your life. And now, here's your host, Master Mel.
Right. Welcome to Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel. I am Melodee Meyer, and I am so happy to have you here today with my very special guest, Joe. Now, Joe is a wonderful person that I know on many, many levels. I work with him. He's a CPA. He teaches bookkeeping. He helps people with their books and with their finances. But more importantly, he has become a mentor for me and a real success coach. And I am excited to have him come and share his wisdom with those of you who really want to kick up your life on many, many levels. So we're going to be inspired today. We're going to learn some things today, all bundled up into one. So I want to tell you a little bit about Joe. He is a CPA and an entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience. He works with thousands of small businesses, and he specializes in startups. He's also a published author, a speaker, and a coach. And he's written a book, and he's going to tell us all about that too. Please welcome Joe DiChiara. No, DiChiara. 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 How's that? DiChiara.
Well, listen, you have a black. You could call me whatever you want now.
You're right.
DiChiara.
DiChiara.
You know, it's funny because my daughter came home one day and said, we've been mispronouncing our name all this time. So I say DiChiara, and she said it's DiChiara.
Ah, DiChiara.
Just call me Joe.
Joe. Just call you Joe. Well, that's what I call you. Well, welcome. We're going to be talking today about really the foundation of having a business and doing business. So whether you own your own business, whether you'd like to own your own business, or whether you work for somebody else, you need to know the foundations of having a business and running a business and making a business successful. So we're going to be talking about the 3 crucial qualities you must possess to build and run a strong business. So thank you so much for being with us today, Joe.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, one thing I mentioned in the introduction is that you are a CPA, but you're also an entrepreneur. And I think that this is an important little distinction to make about you and the way that you come to bookkeeping and you come to finances in business, is that you also are a small business owner.
Yes.
So how did you get into it in the first place?
How did I get into accounting?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a funny story because my father actually tricked me into becoming a CPA when I was 17. I guess he realized that I was I had a business mind, and he was worried about me. So he pointed to somebody in my family and said, that guy's a CPA. And I said, what do they do? And he said, well, they run businesses. And I said, well, then I'm going to be a CPA. And I never thought twice about it. I said, because this is going to make me, I wanted to own a lot of businesses. I wanted to know about business. And if CPAs did that, then that's what I wanted to do. So I went up to Oswego. That's where I met Craig, and that's how we met. And I became a CPA. And little did I know that was going to make me a certified public accountant doing bookkeeping and payroll. And I hated it. I resented my father for a long time until I started realizing how things work. We have the same mindset. There's a reason for everything. And when I realized that, I said, I don't want to be an accountant. I want to be a success guru. We don't have any success gurus out there. I want to teach people how to be successful in business. And, I'm just an accountant. But then I realized, I said, I've worked with thousands of businesses. I think you said in the intro that I work with thousands, not at one time.
I hope not.
So over 30 years, I've acquired this experience that I use now to coach people, and mentor people like you. And I appreciate that you said I didn't really think of myself as a mentor to you, but we just the way I consider it is we just have conversations about your business, and together we can come up with solutions.
Well,
and that goes way beyond the numbers, and you know that.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's actually that's actually something I wanted to talk to you about today, because sometimes as entrepreneurs we have an idea and we have like all the creative juices of the business and of the idea or the product or the service, and we're all into that, and numbers and finances are not necessarily our strong point, our strong set, and our skill set rather. And that's what I appreciate about you, is that you tend to have that creative part of you as well, but you're very grounded in the numbers, and you make them less scary. So it's not. When I speak with you about finances and stuff, I don't feel I don't have the same sense of inadequacy or fear around the numbers as I used to.
Well, I appreciate that. That's because I'm talking about your numbers. When I look at my numbers, I have the same fears as anyone. But the truth is, if everybody knew about numbers and bookkeeping and accounting, I would be in a different business. And I used to I still tell my clients, if you really like bookkeeping, you should start a bookkeeping business, because a business owner shouldn't be doing their own bookkeeping. That should be left to people like me. But, and, you said I'm an author, and one of the books I wrote is called From Myths to Money. And I wrote that because, all the stuff I learned in school didn't really prepare me for being a business owner. They taught me about the balance sheet, about the P&L, about cash flow. And that's like the science behind business, and that's needed, because you got, like successful people, like we know Larry Bratton will tell you, you got to know your numbers. The guy doesn't run 40 hotels without knowing what his balance sheet looks like, and cash flow. And all those things are important. But what I learned, in my book, what I explain is that people don't fail for the reasons they think they fail. When growing up and in school, I always heard that, businesses fail because they don't have enough capital. Yeah, but there's reasons why they don't have enough capital. And, in my business, I can tell you that I've gotten so many people, $100,000 lines of credit, and we thought that was going to, solve all their problems, only to see them waste all the money and then be $100,000 in debt. And that really killed me. I said, what am I doing wrong here? I thought I'm giving them the, good advice. I help them get the money they need to do everything they want to do. So it just, it was like, I felt inadequate, like I'm not making the difference that I wanted to make in people's life. I figure if I got to be an accountant, I want to be the best accountant that I can be, and not only, look at the numbers, but look at how can I help these people succeed, which was always ingrained in me. Mel, what drives us is, I think, really beyond our control, and I learned that, and thank God, because what I've been able to do is, writing and just having these, aha moments, like Larry calls them, and saying, you know what, business numbers are important. You can't get away from the numbers, and you need somebody like me to show you the numbers. But really, the numbers tell a story. It tells a story of your business, and then you got to dig deep into those numbers and to, like we do, we say, okay, what do these numbers mean? And, where are the holes? How can we plug them? And, a lot of time, so what I've seen in business, and I think we're going to talk about this, it has more to do with your mindset and the qualities that you possess than, the nuts and bolts, the daily stuff. Because you could solve cash flow problems, you could solve problems with your debt, you could solve, if you're not profitable, you can come up with. So business is really, overall, I look at it as just a series of obstacles. How do we deal with them? How do we get over them?
Cool. Well, why don't we start diving into these 3 different qualities that you talk about that you have to have in place that are foundational really to having a successful business? Are they in any particular order?
They're all important, but yeah, I think there's sort of an order to them, because I would tell you, and so my experience with working with all these thousands of businesses is, I've seen people fail, so I know what not to do. And there's a pattern. You see these patterns, and, then you see the people that succeed, and you look at the qualities, and it's always the same thing. So it's like, this is written in stone. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be successful, okay? But then you got to say, well, is it money? Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. But I do that a lot, you could see that. But the number one quality for successful people, I mean, truly successful people, is passion. You got to have a passion for what you do. But really, there's 2 parts of that. And I've been thinking about that. It's got to be focused passion, if that makes sense. You can't just, they got to go hand in hand. It's, and this comes from Andrew Carnegie. He said, the more focused you can be, the better your chances of success. But if it's focused on something that you're passionate about, that's the first ingredient. Without that passion and the focus, nothing else really matters.
Right.
So, that's absolutely the number one quality that I've seen and I don't care. My best client right now is in the flooring business. That doesn't mean he loves floors, but he's passionate about what he does. He looks beyond, there's what we do. Like, I'm an accountant. I crunch numbers, but I'm passionate about business. And he's passionate about, not only that, he's passionate about people, and he loves what his business can do for people.
Right.
So it's definitely the passion and the focused passion that's the most important.
Right, because if you're going into business just for the sake of making money and you just sort of pick something out of the hat that you don't really care about, the chances that you're going to be successful in that have just lowered exponentially. Yes?
Absolutely. So let me tell you something about that, because there's nothing wrong with people that want to go into business to make money. The bottom line is, if you're going into, and I say that's a given.
Right.
Why focus on the money? You go into business to make a profit. Otherwise, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. But if you go into business only for the money, chances are you can make money, but you're not going to be successful the way I define success. I'll give you an example. I had, when I first got into open my first CPA office, 1994, I got this client, taught me a lot about business. a lot of people have taught me about business, but this was one of my first, examples. I wouldn't call him a mentor, but he showed me some things. And the guy was worth over $10 million. And he owned restaurants in Manhattan, buildings. And he could have wrote a check for $1 million and it would actually clear.
Wow.
That's how much money very wealthy. And he was one of the most miserable people I ever met in my life. Okay. His kids couldn't stand him. They couldn't wait for him to pass away so they could divvy up his money. And there was something, I was like, I didn't understand why, because I had these other clients that were basically broke. They lived from week to week. They worked. They had 3 kids on Long Island. The guy made about 60 grand a year, but they were always happy. And that just planted I like to use that story because I use it when people say, well, I want to start this business to make money. But then the question is, when you make all this money, what are you going to do with it? So I don't look down on people that do it because they want to make money. All the power to them. But if you look at rock stars, people that hit the lottery, they get all that money and they're just not happy.
Yeah, to do it just for the money. Well, it also translates to your customer. One of my favorite shows is The Prophet. Do you ever watch that with Marcus Lemonis?
Oh, yeah.
So he just had one where he went into this business. It was a father and son who had a tea business, but neither one of them drank tea or even liked tea. Okay. But they saw what was happening with coffee and they thought, here's an opportunity. So they went after it because it was an opportunity, not because they were passionate about the product. Well, maybe that works for some people, but I know in this particular instance, the stores, they franchised the idea and the stores were sparse and they had no personality and they didn't have a lot of products. And because they actually didn't know anything about the product, so they couldn't add things to it, that complemented it or anything. It was just an idea of which they did because they thought it was a good opportunity, a good idea, not because they were passionate about the idea. And it really showed up to the customers who, of course, did not patronize the place regularly because it was uninspired. There was no passion there. And Marcus actually went to one of the franchisees who had bought a franchise and who loved tea. And it was a completely different experience, right? And you walked in this person's store and there was the customer could feel the difference. Yeah.
Right.
And they were more successful as well.
Yeah, another example I like to use is Steve Jobs.
There you go.
The guy wanted to make money, obviously. He was using Steve Wozniak for anything he could think of. But when it came down to it, he was passionate to a fault. I mean, he just didn't care about the money at all. Because, it was all about, listen, I want to make a product that I want to use. And the guy he changed the world.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay.
Thank God for.
Well, I think we get what number one is all about. That in order to be really successful, not only in business but in our lives, right? Because if we're enjoying what we're doing, then it's not like work, right? That
I don't work anymore.
There you go.
I haven't worked in a while. I'm not retired, so figure that out.
So what's number 2? What is the number 2 quality?
Okay, this comes from Larry Bratton, and this used to be way down on my list, but then I realized you have to have tenacity. Okay, because Larry used to say you're gonna fail, and that used to make me shiver. I was like, what do you mean I'm gonna fail? And I think I know what he meant was you're going to face adversity. Okay. I don't know anybody that's ever been successful that didn't have some kind of, either they were bankrupt or all these things happen to us. And I tell my clients, and myself included, I'm like, things aren't always going to go, peachy clean. Life is tough. Get over it. Accept it. But don't blame anything. And again, that's what my book is about. It's not about the economy. It's not about, oh, I don't have the right connections. I don't have the capital. It's none of those things. It's because you lack tenacity. Look at anybody that's been successful. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs. I can go down the list. Most people you never even heard of. And I've seen people get through tragedies, and come out. You're going to fail. You're going to lose money. You're going to have bumps in the road. Even my most successful client, I mean, this guy, I love this guy. I mean, I use him as an example all the time. And he just went through a serious cash flow problem. But we got through it, because he's got the third quality. But the bottom line is you're going to face adversity. And the people that succeed figure out a way to get through it. I just watched a movie. My aunt said, oh, you got to watch this movie, Walt Before Mickey. Have you ever heard of it?
About Walt?
Walt Before Mickey. And I had no idea what I knew Walt Disney got fired from a job. I was like, oh, that was his adversity. No, the guy was getting evicted from his office. I mean, this guy went through unbelievable adversity, and he just wouldn't give up. And that's why we have Disneyland now.
Well,
thank God for that.
In martial arts, we have 5 major tenets, but 2 of them really are about this exact thing. And one of them, it's called perseverance, which is just like tenacity. And then the other one is indomitable spirit. And that could also be part of that tenacity. And that's just how important it is in order to be able to overcome any kind of obstacle, right? Is that perseverance, that tenacity, that indomitable spirit that will get you through all the hard times that will come. They will come. Yes.
Yeah, and we were talking before this about your business, and you had mentioned that everything's like a microcosm of life, and so that doesn't just go for business. That goes for life. Who hasn't faced adversity? Losing a job, losing a loved one. I read this book called The Road Less Traveled. And the first line said something to the effect that, life is tough, get over it. Mm-hmm. as soon as you can, face that fact, then you can start enjoying life. And I have issues in my business. Who doesn't? But what I do now is I embrace those issues because I know, listen, I'm going to get through this. I've been doing this long enough. Last year I lost a big client, a very big client. I didn't lose them. I had to walk away for reasons that I can't talk about. But I made a calculated decision. I said, I will walk away from this client. Cash is going to be tight for a while, but I'll get through it. And I did. So that's number 2.
Great. Wow. Okay. And what is number 3?
I think you're going to be surprised by number 3.
Really?
But and I've thought about this a lot, and I'm just thinking about the people that have really been successful. And listen, there's exceptions to everything. But what I'm going to tell you is what I found is humility is a key to success. And I'll tell you why. You know, nobody has ever built a business or achieved any sort of success without other people. Okay? You have to, you have to identify your weaknesses. Nobody's good at everything. Okay? Yeah, Adam Ace made that clear to me when I told him. He's like, you blanket marketing, don't do that. So what did I do? I connected with people like Craig, so, but you have to have humility. You have to know what you're not good at, understand it, bring other people in, and let go.
Yeah.
The people, I could tell you this, the people, and I see this all the time, most people, if you know how to fix a car, if you know how to paint, if you know how to build, okay, you could start a business, okay, and you could be successful. You could get clients, you could make money, you can make a living, okay, but most business owners box themselves in because they don't have the humility. They can't let go of their books. They can't get, they got to do everything, So that. I mean, I see what you've done with your business. You got to be able to take a step back. And like, that's what my favorite client does today. I use him all the time in my examples. I'm like, you know what? It's a construction company. So he hired these guys to do estimating. That's a big part of the construction. And he walked away. He's like, that's your job now. You bring in the business. I'm going to go meet clients. And it worked. And he's one of the most humble people I ever met. Larry Broughton, again, I mean, and I could go down the list. Anybody that's successful. Now, you could say, Steve Jobs wasn't very humble. But, he was one of those rare people that overcame that by, being highly passionate, highly focused, and having tenacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
so
that.
That's my top three.
No, I like that a lot. And humility is actually one of those qualities that, you're right, is not held up as something that, people will say, and it will be said, it's good to be humble. And we can all agree on that in theory, but to actually have humility, it's almost like those two are different in my mind. Like, being humble, you can have the appearance of, like, I'm going to be humble, I'm going to lower myself kind of idea. But true humility to me is one of where you're being of service and where you don't need to be the one in front. You don't need to get the applause. Because you're so on purpose, and if that happens, fine. But that you get something out of it by being of service, not by getting the credit.
Right. Somebody gave me a card one time and said, "What did he say? Humility is not thinking of myself less." Now, humility is not thinking less of myself. It's thinking of myself less. So if you look at a business, it's really I'm searching for a word right now. Help me. It's not just one person. It's a combination of, many people working together. Okay. And I'm not just talking about, you have your employees, you have your office people, you have your people in the field, but then I include your clients and your vendors. So humility is, paying homage to those people, giving them credit, not saying, hey, this is all because of me, because it's not all because of one person. Yeah, you might be the leader, you might have had the ideas, but if you don't share the wealth, if you don't say thanks for a great job, we wouldn't be here without you. That's humility to me.
Yeah. No, I like that. And also, it's like you were saying, humility being one of, it's also why you would delegate things in business, because that that's not your forte, or that it would be better in the hands of someone who's an expert at that. And that because a lot of entrepreneurs want to be entrepreneurs because they want to control everything. And they think if they're the boss, then they get to control everything, kind of control freakish, right? But that humility comes from going, wow, this is a great idea, but it's going to take a team effort to reach this vision. I can't do it all by myself.
You know, there's a great book out there I read a long time ago. It's called The E-Myth Revisited. Okay, and it became a whole, you know, he's got a huge following. He's got E-Myth coaches. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yes, of course.
But basically, yeah, the E-Myth is saying, oh, I know how to cook, so I can open a restaurant. Yeah. You know? So I specialize, and this is why I specialize with startups, because I've seen them make mistakes, thinking, oh, you know, I know how to play music. One of our friends, Sue, just met with this girl that she's in our mastermind, and she got a chance to, you know, take over a store in a business that she loves. And she didn't realize anything about payroll and, you know, making deposits. She teaches music. Mm. So what happens is you get overwhelmed because there's 18 things to do and they're all a top priority. Yeah. So so I seek those people out so I could say, no, this is how you do it. You bring, you know, a marketing guy in, you do that. What do you do good? You teach music. That's what's going to bring in the money. Yeah. You know, if there's no sales, there's no business. You know, if you didn't have any students in your kickboxing business, nothing else matters. So, you know, you teach martial arts, you know, and you get people like me to do the books. And, you know, you have employees. You have a nice business.
Well, when we come back, we're gonna take a break right now, Joe. But when we come back, what I would like to do is to kind of go over maybe a little mini checklist of what someone should do when they want to start up a business. What are the things that they need to have in place? We've got the qualities down. Now, what are some of the things that they need to have in place or to line up, even if it's to delegate them, in order to make sure that they have everything to run a well-run and legal business? How about we do that when we come back, okay?
Kick up your life. We'll be right back with Master Mel right after this. Are you too busy to eat clean? Do you need to boost your energy, tone your body, and burn fat? Then it's time to treat yourself to the cleanest, high-quality protein supplement available. Introducing Whey Clean. Whey Clean is a completely natural, non-denatured and bioactive protein from the milk of grass-fed cows raised by the Amish, the old-fashioned way. No pesticides, hormones, gluten, soy, or GMOs. Want to know if your protein is clean? Read the label. How many ingredients? Are they all real? Can you even pronounce them? Whey Clean uses only 4 of the highest quality real food ingredients available and leaves out all the fillers, thickeners, additives, and sweeteners the other guys use. Don't compromise. You deserve the best. Go to cleancut.com. That's clean, KUT.com. And get yours today so that you can eat clean and live happy.
All right. Welcome back. Thank you, Joe, for being with us. And thanks for going over with us the 3 qualities for a successful business. And I just wanted to review those before we go into our next segment about what you need to have in place to run a successful business, a successful startup. And those 3 qualities that you went over with us so well are passion, tenacity, and humility. 3 great qualities that if we could adapt those and integrate them into our lives, that we'd be successful not only at business, but relationships and anything else we want, any endeavor that we want to be involved in our life. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So let's.
You know, anytime I talk about this stuff, I'm talking to myself also.
Of course. Well, we teach what we need to learn is what we've been told. And so whenever I find myself really passionate about wanting to teach something, it's like, oh, that's because dot, dot, dot. In fact, that's why I wanted to also have you on the show, is because I want to teach other people about how to get real with their finances, how to not be afraid of their balance sheet and, you know, their QuickBooks or whatever they're using, or not be afraid to talk to someone about their books and about the finances of their business or their finances, period, to get the professional help that you need so that you can be effective. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because that's something I'm working on for myself as well. I want to be more financially literate with my business. And so that's why I hired you. And but you've given me so much more than that. And that's why I wanted to share you with everybody.
I appreciate that. And if more business owners thought the way that you think, there'd be more successful business owners.
Well, why don't you tell us?
You know that.
When you get a business that comes into you, a startup, and they're going, okay, Joe, I need you to, you know, my books, I need some help with my books for my startup. What kinds of things do you want to make sure that they have in place, or are you going to set up for them to make sure that that their books and their financial part of the business is really handled?
You know, well, do you want me to go through how I handle a new client?
Sure.
Like what checklist I would go through with them?
That would be great.
You know, because like I said, business is more than just the nuts and bolts financial end. Actually, you know, I like to think of business as a three-legged stool.
Okay.
There's three main segments of every business, and that's obviously operations, which is what you do. Your operations is teaching martial arts. Okay, if there's no operations, there's no business. So the second leg is marketing. You know, if there's no marketing, if you don't have a way to bring in new business and revenue, there's no business, or it's tilted. You know, so that's why I'm like, it's unbalanced. And the third leg is really my expertise, which is the administration. You know, so I try to teach my clients all of this stuff. I try to teach them financial literacy. But, you know, the financial literacy really goes, it permeates the whole business. You know, because if you don't understand what I feel like, what I believe is I'm really teaching them about business, not just about the finances. I'm teaching them, and I'm not going to teach them about marketing or their operations, but I'm going to teach them that you need a system. You know, you need to systematize everything. And I mean, you've done that extraordinarily. You know, you have a bookkeeper. You know, I was really impressed because you know, and give yourself some credit, because a very small percentage of businesses get to that point. You know, if I told you it's like less than 5%, I mean that's the truth. Not many businesses get beyond 5 employees. And the only way you get there is by having some kind of systems in place. So when I get a new client, you know, what I like to have them do, number one, is define why are you in business. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, I want to know if I actually want them as a client. Okay, I don't take everybody as a client, because if they say I'm in this to make money, I'm like, that's great. I'll find another accountant for you, because I can show you how to make money, but you might still be miserable. You know, if you think about it, why does anybody want a business? I understand it's to make money, but you can get a job and make money. I believe, and this is why I wanted to have my own business, is it's about the freedom. You know, I don't have to, you know, I can take off tomorrow if I want. Okay. If I have a great idea, I can go and try it and lose, all my money. I'm not, I don't have to answer to a boss. Yeah, I have to answer to my clients, and, there's always somebody to answer to. But really, I have my business so that I can have a life.
Right. Right.
So I made that clear. So the number one thing on the checklist is you have to decide, why do you have this business to begin with? So that, and I do that. I offer my clients what I call a definite chief aim. Okay, it's a simple three-part. It comes from Napoleon Hill. So that's really number one on my checklist.
Wow, cool.
And yeah, number two is they got to understand what their business is. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't even know what they're selling.
Wow.
So again, there's no balance sheet and no P&L if you can't. Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. So how do you sell something if you don't know? You just told that story about the guys with the tea business and the coffee business. They don't even know what the business is. The guy, I don't know the guy's name, with Starbucks, he doesn't sell coffee. I mean, they sell coffee, but he sells the experience. Now, I go to Starbucks because I can bring my laptop. It's comfortable. And you want to know something? While I'm there, I drink a lot of coffee. So you got to know if you want, and I'm not just, and I tell people, if you just want an accountant, I can refer you to my friend Joe. He's a great accountant. If you want a business advisor, that's what I do. So, you got to know why you're in business. Then you got to know what your business is. And then number three is you got to know who are you providing the service to. Okay. I believe without those three steps, you don't really have a successful. Your chances of having a successful business go down dramatically.
So then you don't really want them as a client, because you'll spend all that time with them and then they won't be successful if they don't have those things in place.
I want to make a difference. Okay. I want to change people's lives. Okay. And I've learned that the more people's lives I could change, the more people I could help, the more success I can enjoy. So, it's not like an altruistic thing. I'm in this for profit too. It's not, I don't, and also I got to have clients that can pay me. That's another, yeah, sometimes I take on, never charity cases. Okay. I'm a businessman. Okay. I don't want to help somebody fail. Okay. I've done it too many times. I have too many clients that just don't get it, and they wind up miserable. Mel, thousands of businesses. Think about it. So I've been able to, I practice what I preach. I'm like, I know exactly what kind of client I want to work with. I want those people that are passionate. Okay. I don't want the people that want to do everything. They're not humble. And I want those people that have the tenacity. Okay. So, that's what I look for in a client. And that's what I teach them if they want to be successful. Those top three, if you want to look at it as a checklist, that's the first three you got to check off. Number four is, once you know you have a business, you have to know what your legal structure is. And now I'm talking about, we're talking about sole proprietorship, LLC, corporation, or partnership.
Yeah. How does somebody decide that? How does somebody figure out what they should be?
I'll tell you how most people decide it. Most people go out and create an LLC. And I'll tell you why.
It's the easiest.
Because LLCs just got invented like 15 years ago, and it sounds cool. It's like, I have an LLC. And that's the only reason, because for the business purpose, it doesn't make sense for an operating business. Most of the time, 98% of the time, you want to be an S corporation.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't want to be a sole proprietor. Okay. Sole proprietors get audited the most, and you have no real tax benefits to being a sole proprietor. Okay. When you're an LLC, what I do with people that come to me, and I just did 2 of them. They came to me, they were LLCs. I convert them to S corps. So, so the legal structure is the next. That's where I see people make mistakes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, people don't know what to do. I mean, unless you have a lawyer in the family, or you just do what somebody else tells you to do. I mean, they don't know how to make those decisions. A lot of people.
Honestly, a lot of lawyers are misinformed because they don't understand. They're just thinking about the legal protection, and that's all an LLC provides you is the legal protection. There are no tax benefits. So attorneys usually don't understand what the tax benefits are. So you should go to an accountant. And that's another thing. Maybe that should be number 5 on the checklist. Get a small business accountant. People are misinformed about. They just think, oh, the guy's got CPA after his name, so he must know about businesses and taxes. No, some CPAs are some of the worst business people I've ever met in my life.
Okay, so you would be doing us a huge service right now, Joe, if you could tell us, how do you choose a CPA?
I've been waiting for somebody to ask me that for years.
Well, there you go. I'm asking.
Years. And I'll tell you a very simple way. Go into their office, and if they got papers all over the place, you don't want them as a client.
Let's see your desk right now, Joe. Let's see it.
No. I'm not going to see my desk because I had to straighten everything out to get ready for the. But believe me, I am highly organized. Not to the point where I'm OCD, although I could be, but I don't have client files all over the place. My client files are neat and organized. And I took a picture. The last place I worked at about 15 years ago, I was like a part-time. I was there because I thought I wanted to be partners with the guy. And I walked in his office, and he had a big office, and he had client files spread all over the floor. And I took a picture of it. I wish I kept that. Great guy, actually a pretty good accountant, but totally, he was off the wall. So, but also he had partners that were very organized. So I've referred clients to him. So, but the best way is you go into his office and see how he's organized. Okay. The next way is, again, you go into his office and see how his employees are. Are they miserable or are they happy? If they're miserable, there's a reason for that. A lot of accountants are rageaholics. They start yelling especially during tax season. Tax season would be a great time to go into the office. Are they organized? Are clients sitting there waiting for hours? Are they on the phone yelling at clients? So that, those might be, because here's the thing, Mel, how do you know an accountant's good?
Well, how do you know
how
do you know an accountant is bad? It's too late.
Well, first you're going to hire somebody because like, and trust them, right? Okay. You're going to get a referral from, a good way to get an accountant is through a referral. Somebody that has an experience with this person. Because if you just hire an accountant that you met through a networking group or you know the guy, you're hiring him for the wrong reasons. You're assuming that this guy's a good accountant. Now, let me tell you what happens. If he's a bad accountant, there's a lot of bad accountants out there, you're going to get notices. You're going to get tax notices. Your returns filed late. Who are you going to give the notice to?
Right.
You're going to give it to the accountant. So you might have a bad accountant and you don't even know it. A good accountant is gonna teach you. Okay, they're gonna help you set up your system and they're gonna teach you about your business. If you go to your accountant once a year and drop off your books, they're not a good accountant.
Yeah, that's a tax preparer, not an accountant that's part of your team. So you should really look at your CPA as part of your team of running your business, not someone that just catches you up at the end of the year, right?
Right.
Okay. So
yeah. So do we have time to go through a couple?
Yeah, we.
So the next thing on the checklist.
Yes, go ahead,
sorry?
please.
Oh, okay. The next thing that I think is very important, and people skip over this, is to set up a good bookkeeping system. And that's something that you need your accountant's help with. And I'll tell you why. You know, that three-legged stool, it's easy to say, oh, I'll figure that out later. I spend more time on my marketing and taking care of my client. No, because now if you're successful, if your marketing works, you got money coming in. You got to keep track of that stuff. You got to keep a handle on your expenses. You have to know your numbers. Okay? If you don't, money's going to start slipping through the cracks. And let me tell you something. It's better to save $500 than to bring $500 in.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. There's always a cost to bringing that money in. You save $500 in expenses, that goes right to your bottom line. So that, you know, those few things that I said, I think that I know that those are essential to running a business.
So a bookkeeper is different than a CPA. Can you tell us the difference? And or when you say bookkeeper and accountant, what you mean by that?
So yeah, again, because of what's happened with computerization and the world of QuickBooks, what's happened is the bookkeeping and the accounting has gotten skewed. Okay, my business, what I set up about 12 years ago, is I separated the bookkeeping and the payroll, because the bookkeeping is all the detail work. Okay. A bookkeeper compiles the information, the checks, the sales, the invoices, the bills, and they put them into the accounting system. Okay? What the accountant does is oversees the bookkeeper and makes adjustments to the bookkeeping system, to the books and record. Okay?
That makes
that
totally makes sense, because I used to think that they were all the same and that one got paid more than the other. That was like the big difference between them.
But you've got a book. You have a good book.
Oh, I was so blessed, so grateful for being for 14 years, the same bookkeeper. Yeah.
But you see that's the, you know, so when I ask Dawn for something, she's right on the spot. She has it. Now for you to pay me to do all that work, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You want to pay me $350 an hour to enter checks?
No.
But that, believe it or not, that's what a lot of accountants do.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I'm not partners with anyone.
Cool. Okay, and you have time to give us maybe one more point that you check on a new startup.
Okay, I'm glad I got one point, because I don't want to skip this one. You know, we talked about this, about humility. You can't run a business by yourself. So you got to look at who is on your team. Okay, you can call it a mastermind. That's what Andrew Carnegie called it. I believe every business is like a mastermind. You got it's not one person. You have to have one leader, but that person has to surround themselves with the right accountant, with a bookkeeper. With, if they're not good at marketing, they need, you need a team.
Well, what do you do about the people who say, I can't afford a team? I'm a one person. I have to do everything right now. And they may be right. They might not be able to pay anything to anyone. What about that?
If you say you can't afford something, then you're right. Okay. Like I said, you got to find a way. That's where the tenacity comes in. There's all kinds of ways to overcome the lack of capital. It's really a mindset. If you already know that, listen, I need to have a bookkeeper. It doesn't make sense. I need to spend my time servicing my client. James Malinchak has a great example of this. He said, if I could find anybody to do something for, less than $100 an hour, then I would give it to them, because that's what he put a value on his time. So then it comes down to a mindset thing. Now it's like, listen, you got to know that you can't do it yourself. Once you grasp that concept, I believe that the money will come.
Oh, I love that. And that is a great way.
Whatever.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's the truth. I run my business like that. I'm like, listen, yeah, you need money, but if you just gotta have faith. You gotta say, listen, I believe what I'm doing is right, and I'm gonna overcome this obstacle, because that's all it is, of not having the money right now.
And
and if you believe that, that's where the passion comes in. I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping people.
Your passion will help enroll.
I don't have the money right now.
Yeah, your passion can help enroll team members on your team for sure. And I think it's the perfect way to end our show today, Joe, is you got to have faith. You got to have tenacity. You got to have humility. You got passion, all of those things in place. And then having a good accountant really, really helps. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that I get to work with you on a weekly basis. And I would encourage anyone out there, if you have a dream, go out and get it, build your team, get the support that you need to make your dream come true. Thank you, and take care.
Thanks for listening to Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel. Each week, learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer, as she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel, every week right here on Radio Star Worldwide.